Howdy, gang. I'm going to bring our Dolmenwood weekend to a close with a first look at the monster book right after this. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang channel. Thanks for joining me once again. Before I jump into today's first look, I do want to mention if you enjoy the Gaming Gang and would like to support the outlet, you can do so in a few ways. First, by utilizing our affiliate links to the One Bookshelf sites, such as DriveThruRPG, and to do so, simply visit thegaminggang.com, click on one of our banners. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. You can also make a one-time donation by way of PayPal or become a monthly member of our Patreon. You'll find links in the show notes. Also, down in those show notes, you're going to find an invite link to our Discord server. It is absolutely free, so be sure to hang with the gang over on Discord. So I'll be bringing our Dolmenwood weekend to a close with a first look at the monster book. And then as an extra bonus, we're going to actually take a look at the referee screen. But let's talk about the monster book first, because this 128-page hardcover with PDF is from Necrotic, Gnome, and Exalted Funeral. You can pre-order the monster book over at Exalted Funeral here in North America for $30. Once again, that will include the PDF. Of course, if you're over in Europe and you're getting your hands on Dolmenwood, you would actually be going to necroticgnome.com. Now, this is a pre-order, but these are on the very near horizon. And the proof of that is because I actually have copies of these books. So these came from Exalted Funeral. Now, of course, the PDF alone is available right now over at DriveThruRPG for $15. Having said all that, let's swing on over to the other camera, because here I've got Dolmenwood's monster book. I got to say, I've had loads of fun taking a peek at these books this weekend. Hopefully, you've enjoyed these first looks as well. Earlier today, we dove on into the massive campaign book. Now we're going to wrap up by taking a look at the monster book. But before we do, a few things I do want to mention. First of all, my friends over at Exalted Funeral were kind enough to provide me with this review copy. But neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this first look with you. It's important you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of the book, but I do want to give you a good feel for what you're going to find inside. Then lastly, this is a monster book. This is supposed to be referee facing. That's what the GM is called in Dolmenwood. This is not player facing. So if you're a player and your referee has maybe already received their volumes because they backed the crowdfunding project, or maybe they've got the PDFs, maybe they've pre-ordered these, please keep in mind, you might see some spoilers as we flip on through. So you have been warned. Let's take a look at the back here. Adventure and Peril in Fairy Tale Woods. The complete referee's guide to the weird, wondrous, and terrifying denizens of Dolmenwood. Dolmenwood is a weird fantasy fairy tale adventure game conjuring the wonder, horror, whimsy, and strangeness of British folklore. It's going to tell us what's included in the book. I'm not going to read it because we're going to take a look. This is the third core book. So if you are going to run Dolmenwood, you do need to have the player's book, the campaign guide, and the monster book. All right. So here we've got, oh, pretty cool, end papers here with the encounter tables, random encounter tables. Of course, if you have not been following the other two videos in our Dolmenwood weekend, this is built upon the DNA of Old School Essentials. which is also from Necrotic Gnome and Exalted Funeral, and written by Gavin Norman. So let's take a peek to start off with the credits page. A lot of folks work very hard on this, so let's give some credit where credit is due. And as with the other 2 volumes, we're going to start off with some cool, old school vibed line artwork. Very nice. All right, our table of contents. We've got Monsters of Dolmenwood. We're going to have Denizens of the Deep Dank Woods, as well as Monster Statistics. I think it's probably going to give us a breakdown of our stat blocks. Got our Bestiary and Appendices. So it looks like we're going to get some NPCs based on class, everyday mortals, animals, monster rumors, some information about creating monsters as well. All right. There's part 1. This book details a horde of monsters that may be encountered in the twisted woods, stinking swamps, and desolate moors of Dolmenwood. It forms an indispensable reference for running campaigns and adventures in the setting. So it's pointing out, yes, you do need to have the player's book and the campaign book. And of course, there are adventures that are available for Dolmenwood. Some have been out for a while for old school essentials, actually, like Winter's Daughter. There are some new ones as well. I do not have any of the adventures, just so you know. So here we go. This is going to give us a breakdown of how these monsters are presented. Got their header. We've got descriptors like size, type, intelligence, and alignment. We do have 3 alignments in Dolmenwood. So we have lawful, chaotic. We also have neutral. Then we've got our game stats. So level, armor class, hit points, the saves. We have their attacks, their speed, morale. What is the experience point award for defeating them? And then encounters, behavior, and treasure. You also have notes on any special powers or mechanical traits of the creature. Got some flavored tables and names. All right. So let's take a deep dive on a couple of these. So we've got the Banshee. Drifting incorporeal shades of frost elf ladies, cruelly slain in ancient wars with mortals, haunt desolate moors and hills, seeking vengeance on the living. So they are undead. They are only harmed by silver weapons, magic, or magic weapons. They are unharmed by cold base attacks. They can pass through walls, doors, and other solid objects. They have dark sight, so they can normally see without light. They have the chill touch. The victim loses 1 strength per hit, dying if strength is reduced to 0. Lost strength is recovered at dawn. They also have the Banshee's Wail, is what Banshees are known for. All within 30 feet must save versus doom or die. Whoa! Usable only during the hours of darkness. And if killed, before evaporating into mist and vanishing forever, the Banshee curses her slayer to meet their doom. Unless the curse is removed, the character automatically fails their next saving throw against a deadly effect, such as death, petrification, poison, etc. It's a level 7 creature. As far as player characters go, I already saw that your PCs can advance up to level 15. All right. You have the Basilisk there, the Boggin, the Bregel, which are actually also a kindred that the players can take the roles of. The Cockatrice, Dorling. So these are like deer creatures? Yeah, petite, slender deer women with large green eyes, silvery locks, nub horns, and fluffy tails. Wander Dolmenwood in small matriarchal groups consisting only of females and children. And then we have the stag. As you can see, and this is pretty much throughout the 3 Dolmenwood books that I've peeked at, artwork is varied. Usually, if it's bad artwork, I would say that it's uneven, but it's not bad artwork. It's just all various types of art. Some looks almost as if it's created with various different layers of paper. And then, of course, we have kind of a more traditional style of fantasy art here. It's got different elves. We got the fairy horse. We've got a little bookmark here. As with the other two volumes, paper stock is excellent. This is really nice. And of course, the book does have a stitched binding. These books are going to hold up really, really well. The Gnome. This is also a level 7 undead. Shadow Wreath undead entities composed of the corpses of crow-like birds appear either as a flock of ragged birds or as a gaunt man formed of the feathers, bones, and beaks of the flock. So it is silent before attacking. It's immune to biological effects, such as disease and poison, and mind-affecting spells. In humanoid form, it suffers half damage from mundane, non-silver weapons. In flock form, only harmed by area effects, such as flaming oil or fireball spells. It does have dark sight, so it can see without light. It has a flock attack. It can change between forms, takes a round to do so. It says, disease, save versus doom or contract a magical disease of rotting flesh, leading to death after 1d6 weeks. Each Gnome obsessively collects a specific kind of macabre object. See collection for some examples. So we've got random tables here that give us more flavor. Gnomes have a parental instinct and seek to nurture Gnomes have a parental instinct and seek to nurture mortal children as proteges and assistants in their collecting. Huh, it's pretty wild. Says it's got a 2 in 6 chance of being accompanied by 1d4 charmed children when you encounter the Gnome. Here we've got the Goblin, Headless Rider, the Manticore, the Marsh Lantern. That looks pretty wild. Wretched souls of those who drowned unconsecrated in marshy pools manifest as plaintive visages trapped in orbs of bobbing light, luring unwary travelers to meet the same doom. Why am I like stopping on undead for some reason? It's like a theme here. There we go. We got a nut cap. This is a fae. Oh, demi-fae. It's a 2 to 3 foot tall arboreal demi-fae with wings like sycamore seeds, acorn heads, hands and feet like creeping roots, and skin like smooth beech bark. Guard magical trees of their own breeding. They're level 1s. Nice. Got to say, we got some pretty unique entries here. Even for things that we're used to seeing, like as an example, here's skeleton. Skeletal remains of mortals reanimated by errant magic. Granted a second life, they feast, drink, and make merry, savoring the wonders of the mortal world and living as they please. Quite different than skeletons in other fantasy role-playing games, right? Because they feast, drink, and make merry. So yes, you can see there is quite a bit of Old School Essentials DNA, even in this monster book too. Got the werewolf, a corrupt unicorn. Ooh, wicked unicorns. I was curious. I thought maybe we were into an appendix because I see the witch and it's multiple pages, where so far it looks like just about every entry has been a single page. Might be different arcane secrets. Should be getting into our NPCs by class. So you got the worm, different kinds. Oh, quite a few different kinds. Yeah, here we go. Here's our appendices. So adventures like the bard, the cleric, the enchanter, the fighter. So we've got 1, 3, and 5 as far as the levels provided for these NPCs. Adventuring parties. Oh, wow, that's cool. You can roll up a random adventuring party that your player characters can stumble across. A lot of times with various different quest adventures, I always like to throw in like rivals. So like a rival party of adventurers. And then there's usually a moment just like Shaun of the Dead where the player characters kind of meet their analogs. I kind of throw that in from time to time. Here we've got our animals. So the animals really, we're not going to see tons of images for, because I think most people understand what a giant fly would look like, an insect swarm. We do have the honey badger. Gelatinous ape. Hairless, brightly colored, transparent apes that creep through the trees and undergrowth. Gelatinous apes are gentle-natured and show great kindness to lost travelers. Their jelly-like flesh is sweet and chewy. That must be the gelatinous ape right there. Cool. Killer bees. So some of these are just, even though it says animals, they are fantastical, like the sturge. But the sturge is essentially an insect. And we got monster rumors. Oh, we get rumors about each of the entries and what could be true, what could be false. So the manticore, tail barbs carry a sleeping poison. True. Lost after consuming human hearts. Also true. Secretly humans cursed by a fairy duke. False. Fire poisonous tail spikes, but only 3 per day. Also false. Nice. I like that. That's a cool addition here. Then we get a couple of pages devoted to creating your own monsters. And we'll get into some more detailed credits, especially in regards to the artists and where their artwork is featured. Some writing credits too. Nice. I've had fun taking a peek through these 3 during our Dolmenwood weekend. I know some folks out there probably disappointed I didn't do these first looks live on the Gaming Gang Dispatch. But because this coming week is Thanksgiving, I only have 1 show. I did want to get these first looks out there as soon as I possibly could, because these just arrived in the mail. Now, as an extra bonus, let's take a peek to see what we've got in the referee's screen. I think this is just the screen. I do not think there's a little adventure or anything like that, like we sometimes see with different screens, say from like Free League Publishing. I think this is just, wow, this is nice though. This is really, really nice and thick cardstock. See if I can give you an idea of the thickness here. Yeah, there's very little play in this. All right. So we've got the calendar, information about traveling, camping, encounters, train types, consequences of getting lost, sleeping in the wilds, encounter reactions. There's weather by season, unseasoned encounters, creature activity. Love that, because I talk about it all the time with a lot of fantasy role-playing games. Even in the bestiaries, don't even tell us, okay, so what do these things do? What are they doing? They're not just sitting there waiting for the player characters to come along to murder them. So here we've got creature activity like celebrating, hallucinating, patrolling or guarding, might be negotiating with someone. Different encounter types, common encounters, regional encounters. And we've got 1 panel devoted to, well, not even a full panel devoted to combat. If you saw my first look at the player book, you can see that this is not super, super crunchy as far as our combat mechanics. Pretty traditional, basic, expert D&D styled combat. Let's take a look at the artwork. That's a cool landscape there. Although this is not a landscape styled referee screen. So which would be, you know, short like this, like 3 or 4 panels. So this is a full-sized screen here. In fact, let me take a quick peek. Same, yep, it is the same exact. Oh, now it's off by just a little bit. Because one thing with the various different core books that we've taken a peek at, they are about an inch taller than standard role-playing game books and maybe about a half-inch narrower. So that ref screen is very, very close to the same size as the cover too. And of course, I should probably also mention that the referee screen carries an MSRP of $25. All right, that is it for our Dolmenwood weekend. Hopefully you had fun as I took a peek inside all 3 of the core books for Dolmenwood from Necrotic Gnome and Exalted Funeral. Of course, if you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell because it's supposed to notify you not only when I share videos such as this first look, it's also supposed to tell you when my live stream, the Gaming Gang Dispatch, airs Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer, and until I see you next time, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.